Hey everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd. Let's talk about everybody's favorite subject, stick drift. Stick drift has never really been an issue for me on any console until now. I don't know if you're like me, but back in the day, I used to think that people that got stick drift on their controllers were just people that didn't take care of their controllers. Ultimately, I was wrong because I pride myself in taking care of all of my video game stuff, my games and my consoles and my controllers, all my equipment. I do a pretty good job of not trashing them. However, I have experienced an amazing amount of stick drift on not just one, but two controllers. Of course, I'm talking about the PlayStation 5. But the question that I would like to specifically ask is, are first-person shooters in particular taking a toll on those stock PlayStation 5 controllers? And I think the answer is yes, based on my experience. I would love to know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And I would also like to talk about some of the upgraded sticks that you can get and install in your PlayStation 5 controllers. So for this video, we're mainly just talking about three different types of sticks that you can have in these controllers. You've got the stock potentiometers, you've got the Hall effect joysticks, as well as the new TMR, which stands for Tunnel Magnetoresistance. These are the games that I've been playing the most on my PlayStation 5 this year. We've got Tekken 8, Top Spin, which is a tennis game, Astrobot, and Battlefield 6, of course. Tekken 8. This one, I would really be surprised if this is the source of my problems with the stick drift, because I never use the stick on the controller for this. I use the directional pad, the D-pad. That's just kind of the way that you play Tekken. You know, I usually use the stick on 3D fighters, but on this one, it's different. I don't know what it is about Tekken. If it was Soul Calibur, I'd be using the stick all day long, but on Tekken 8, I'm definitely using the D-pad. So there's absolutely no way that this game could be the cause of my stick drift. Astrobot. This is Game of the Year, I think, for 2024. And it's one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 5 and one of my favorite games that I've played in the last 10 years. It's a really amazing game. If you've never tried it, I highly encourage you to do so. Yes, you move the stick around in this. I don't remember ever having to press L3. Maybe I was wrong, but I don't think so. I don't think having to press in the stick is a thing on this game. That being said, moving the stick around is the entire gameplay. You move both sticks for the camera as well as your character moving around. But that honestly shouldn't have anything to do with the stick drift. Ultimately, using the stick is going to wear it down over time, but I don't think that that's the cause. Now, you can laugh if you want to, but this is the game that I've spent the most time with out of all the ones that I'm going to show you. Top Spin 2K25, I was a huge fan of Top Spin 4 on the 360 and the PlayStation 3, and when this came out, I had to get it. It is the best tennis game franchise, in my opinion. There's no other tennis game that does it as well as Top Spin does. But it's an interesting point. When you're playing this game, your analog stick movements are precision. You have to be precise if you want the ball to go exactly where you're aiming for. And although there are no times where you have to use L3 or R3 in this game, that stick takes a beating. Oftentimes you have to make a split-second decision to flick that stick to the right or to the left. So I put a lot of wear and tear on my sticks with this game. I suppose that this one might be at fault for causing the stick drift, but I sincerely doubt it. Battlefield 6, however, I can definitely say is the cause for my stick drift, because I've had these controllers forever and never had an issue with stick drift until this game came along. And it was about a month after this game came out that I started getting stick drift. And I kid you not, it was one controller after another. Both of my stock PlayStation 5 controllers that I've had since launch 2020 now have stick drift because of this game. And it's irritating, but it makes sense. You know, Battlefield, first-person shooters in general are extremely intensive games, and you get into it, man. When you get into it, you press in those sticks to run as fast as you can. There's even an option to where you can roll on the ground. If you jump from a high spot and you want to hit the ground without taking damage, you can do a forward roll, and that requires you to press in the stick when you hit the ground. So there's no question in my mind, Battlefield 6 is the cause of my stick drift issues. What you're seeing on the table are two completely different PlayStation 5 controllers. Other than aesthetically, you would have no reason to believe that they aren't the exact same thing. However, the controller on the right features TMR sticks, and the one on the left still has the stock potentiometer sticks from Sony. I'm a big fan of the Battlefield franchise. I'm not so much a Call of Duty guy, but if you are a Call of Duty guy, I imagine this would pertain to you as well. So why are first-person shooters in particular causing us problems with stick drift? Well, I can show you. With this controller right here, what I tend to do in first-person shooters is I press in the stick. We commonly refer to that as L3. You press in that stick to sprint, to run, to move faster. You press in that stick. Default controller here, if you wanted to crouch in a first-person shooter, you would press the circle button. That was never my favorite thing to do all the way back in, Battlefield 3 on the PlayStation 3. I tend to use that R3 right there, press in the stick, and that activates my crouch. That's how I've always done it. And as a result, I think that constant crunching, pressing down on those sticks, and then moving those sticks around will cause that stick drift. And I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6 since it came out. I think I'm almost 250 hours into it. So I was doing some research on the different types of analog sticks that you can have in a PlayStation 5 controller, and I came across this Reddit post. And I'm going to directly quote this Reddit post because it is damn good. It's the best explanation of the differences between potentiometers, Hall effect joysticks, and TMR sticks that I found. And of course, all credit to the original Redditor. I will put his post in the description below. So let's start out with the stock PlayStation 5 sticks that you're going to get from Sony in your stock controller. These use potentiometers. So what we're dealing with is resistive contact. As you move the stick, a metal wiper physically drags across the curved carbon track. The resistance changes based on that wiper's position, telling the controller where the stick is. The flaw with this is friction. The physical dragging wears down the carbon track over time, creating dust and dead spots. This is definitely what's going to be causing that stick drift, and unfortunately, it's inevitable. It feels like there's physical friction and they can feel scratchy or resistant, but they are generally responsive and familiar. When I'm pressing in that L3 and moving that stick around, I often think of the old Nintendo 64 controller. You can actually see that. The problem with these PS5 controllers is you can't see what's going on inside of the controller, but I think the N64 stick is a really good visual example. If you used that thing back in the day, or even now, you can actually hear and feel and see this stick rubbing against plastic. It's plastic on plastic, and as a result, it wears the stick down over time, and you've got that plastic dust that can gather. And as a result, a lot of those sticks today are very loose just because of that friction that has been wearing down on that plastic over time. I'm thinking that we're having a very similar situation inside of these controllers now on the PlayStation 5. The only difference is it's screwing with our games with stick drift. I first noticed this on Battlefield 6 in-game. When you're in a larger game mode, you've got the map on the screen and you can choose where on the map you'd like to spawn, and you move the analog stick to find that position that you would like to spawn. My stick kept moving to the left when I was not even touching it. That's basically what stick drift is. It maps inputs without you telling it, and it's extremely frustrating. So now I'd like to talk about this controller for just a second right here. This is a brand new controller for the Xbox 360 by a company called Retro Fighters. They make a lot of modern looking controllers for your older consoles, but this one right here is a dead-on replica of the original 360 controller. Now, the only reason that I'm showing you guys this one in particular is that it features Hall effect joysticks. So let's go ahead and talk about what those are. The Hall effect joysticks are supposed to be the ultimate drift-proof solution. Basically, all this means is that a magnet is placed on the moving part of the stick. A sensor measures the strength of that magnetic field to determine the distance. There is no physical contact between the sensor and the magnet. So no contact means no wear. These sticks will never drift because they don't have anything touching each other to wear down over time. These Hall effect joysticks have been in a ton of third-party controllers over the years. So they're not anything new. They've been around for a while, but they're certainly an upgrade from what Sony and even Xbox and Nintendo have been giving us. They give us that sense of security. We know that these controllers aren't going to wear down as fast, and I think it's a great idea. to have Hall effect joysticks in your controllers just for that reason. Finally, we're moving on to TMR sticks. TMR sensors measure a quantum effect, the resistance of electrons tunneling through a barrier which changes drastically in the presence of a magnetic field. TMR is significantly more sensitive than Hall effect. It requires less software filtering than Hall effect sticks, and this results in a raw input that feels crisper, more responsive, lower latency while still being completely immune to that nasty mechanical drift. So I've got two controllers here. The one on the left, the nice purple controller, has the stock sticks inside of it, and the one on the right, that lovely Sony 30th anniversary PlayStation controller, has been fitted with TMR sticks. So this happened to me. I actually was just playing Battlefield 6 with my buddies one night, and I noticed that, oh my goodness, it's drifting and it's affecting my gameplay. If you know anything about first-person shooters, or particularly Battlefield 6 or Call of Duty, you know that it's extremely important for your sticks to be ultimately very responsive. I'll remind you that I do take care of my controllers. I've got a section underneath my entertainment center where I store my controllers and keep them charged. They are not susceptible to dust because there's not a lot of it that's in there. I take care of my controllers. I make sure that I properly clean them every now and again, and it's inevitable. This stick drift thing is going to happen, especially if you play a first-person shooter. And this next piece of information that I have is totally solid evidence that first-person shooters are causing stick drift. My girlfriend, Emily, I got her into the PlayStation 5 shortly after we met, and she's had the PlayStation 5 for a little over a year now. She's had the stock controller, and that's pretty much it. I got her into Battlefield 6 when it came out a few months ago, and now her controller has stick drift. And I know her, and I know that she takes care of her stuff, so I think that is pretty damning evidence. The only game that she's really jumped into super heavily is Battlefield 6. She's played a few other games here and there that don't require as much movement with the stick and don't require that L3, R3 stuff, but she certainly does have stick drift on that controller now, which is absolutely insane. When my stick screwed up and got stick drift, I was looking around to see if I could find somebody to do this for me, and sure enough, I found a guy that's local to me. His name is Eric, and he's got a store that deals in nothing but video game repair. He's a super nice guy, and I went to check out his store, and that's where I found this gorgeous Sony Anniversary PlayStation 5 controller that he installed these TMR sticks in. And we worked out a deal. I traded him my two controllers that had stick drift, just the stock white controller, in exchange for this one. Now, I've been using this controller for about a month or so with those upgraded TMR sticks, and I've got to tell you, it is a massive difference. And it does feel a little different compared to the stock controller. So here's your stock PlayStation 5 controller, and there's that L3 button press. It does feel like there's a ton of resistance compared to what I'm used to now with the TMR stick. It does feel like it takes a little bit to move these guys around, and it feels like it takes a lot of pressure to press in that stick as well. And honestly, Battlefield 6, I love it to death. Maybe I'm getting older or something, I don't know, but my thumbs were killing me after a couple of hours of playing that Battlefield 6. Now, if we move to the TMR sticks over here, the click is noticeably louder, and the stick feels like you can move it a lot easier. There's not as much resistance as there is with the stock stick there. You know, it's a terrible feeling to be playing Battlefield 6 and worrying about pressing in your stick too much, because that's going to affect your performance. Having these TMR sticks in this PlayStation 5 controller, I do feel a little bit safer knowing that there's nothing that's grinding against each other in these sticks. So once again, I'd like to give a shout out to Eric. He did a great job with this controller. I really, really do love it. It is so gorgeous, and I'm a big PlayStation 1 fan, so to have this is a really special thing for me. He has a store locally. He's in Bryant, Arkansas, but he takes in controllers that have stick drift and he replaces those with these TMR sticks. His prices are very fair. He's a really nice guy, and he enjoys doing this kind of thing and helping people out when their stuff is broken. If you were looking for a place to send your controller, whether it has stick drift or you just want to take that preemptive measure and send in your controller before it gets stick drift, I'll put his information and the link in the description below. What do you think about the new TMR sticks as well as those Hall effect sticks, and have you ever used either one of them? Let me know the answers to those questions in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.